In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to use the Flux Photoshop Action. So the first thing we want to do is open up a photo to work with. So a few things you've got to check before running the action. So just go to the image menu, go into mode, make sure your photo is in RGB color mode and 8 bits of channel selected. You want to make sure you're working with a fairly big size image, so you can see the resolution of the photo I'm using here. I would avoid using photos under 1000 pixels high or wide, because I noticed when testing the action that it can run into errors if the photo isn't big enough, so just make sure of that. Another thing you want to check is that when you open up your photo, your layer needs to be set as a background. So if you open it up and it's called something else and it doesn't have that lock symbol, just select it, go to the layer menu, go to new background from layer, and it will set it as a background layer. And lastly, just quickly check, if you go into your layer panel and select this top right hand corner icon, go to panel options, just check that add copy to copy layers and groups is selected. Alright, so now we're going to load up our actions panel. Go to the window, actions, and select this top right hand corner icon, go to load actions, select Flux.atn file. Okay, so there it is. Now, there's only one thing we need to do to get this action working. We need to create a new layer called brush. Hit B on the keyboard, grab yourself a brush, select the hard brush, and you can use any color, just something that stands out so you can see where you're brushing on your photo. Now what you want to do, you want to, where you brush onto your photo is the areas that are going to break up and you're going to shoot into a direction. So I want to break up his arm here, around here. So I want this action, I want the pieces to shoot down, so just keep that in mind, the direction that you want the pieces to shoot off into when you're brushing. Okay, so that's all you really need to do. Now you just need to select what direction you want the pieces to go off into and click play on the action. So the action takes about a minute to run, so just click play and then come back to Photoshop in a minute's time and see what you got. So I'll just click play and fast forward the video to get the result. Okay, so the action's finished and here is our result. So let's go ahead into the layer panel and just talk about what we have to work with here. So we have this one master folder called Flux, which has all the effects in it. Okay, and we have this top layer brush, which was the initial area that we brushed. So if you wanted to start the action again, you could just delete the folder. You could brush into different areas and just hit run the action again. Okay, so inside the folder we have all these layers here. Basically, these are all the pieces that are broken up onto separate layers, which you can move around, duplicate, do what you want. But the top three ones here are some simple adjustment layers. So this top one, add saturation. What I like to do here is look at our photo and adjust the saturation or reduce the saturation of some of the colours. So in this case, I want to boost the saturations of the green. So I'll select green and I'll turn that up. And I want to turn, say, the blues down. So I'll select blue, remove the saturation from there, I'll remove the lightness as well. Okay, so you can just experiment with this adjustment layer. Add contrast, you can adjust the opacity of this one here if you want to add more contrast to your design. Just like that. The layer below, add sharpening. If I turn this one on and off, you can see that it just enhances the details a little. So this is more of a finishing touch adjustment layer. So if you're moving all these pieces around, I would recommend not using this and then flattening your image after you finish the design and sharpening it from there. So I'll show that a bit later on. So I'll leave that on for the moment. So these top four layers are our blurry pieces, so I'll move these around. You can see those. So what you can do with these, you can say you can just duplicate these, and you can scale these up. If you want, you can blur them more, so I can go Gaussian blur. So something like that. Up there. Okay, so all these blue layers are our simple parts layers. So these are the little bits and pieces that shoot off from where we brush onto our photo. So I'll move this one around, you can see the pieces there. So you can always just turn these off if you want to reduce the amount, or you can say select a group and holding down Alt on a PC here, I can just duplicate them all and move them down. You can move them around so you don't get that repetitive look. So a lot of flexibility there. This layer here, part 5 will drop shadow. If I move this to the top right hand corner, you can see I've added a little drop shadow to this, so it just helps. So for example, look around his knee here, you can see the shadow there. So if you want, you can turn that off by just clicking on the eye and the drop shadow, like that. Okay, moving down the line here, the green ones are the thin lines. So if I move these around, you can see those there. So again, you can just duplicate those, rotate them, scale them, and just remember I've color coded these layers, so the thin lines are all grouped together. So going down, we have these group of yellow layers. Now these are the ones that you can see that are glowing, so if I move these around, you can see that. And the way these work is that they're in groups of 2, so part with glow 1, part with glow 1 boost light. You notice if I move them around, it's actually moving both these layers around because they're linked. Okay, so if I want to create some more glows, if I hold down Alt and drag this out, duplicate that layer, you'll notice that it hasn't created another one because they're all still linked. So if you create a duplicate, make sure on that duplicate just to right click and go unlink layers, and then you can move that around and you can see you've got a copy now. Alright, that's just the same with these other ones. Now if you want to remove the glows and just have them as normal pieces, shift select all those layers, right click and go clear layer style. Okay, so now you've just got more broken up pieces. I'll leave the glow on for this. This bottom one here, this layer, if I just move this out to the side, actually what I'll do, I'll move this out of the main folder and I'll turn the main folder off. So this bottom layer in purple is the one that's always going to break off the biggest pieces. So if I move that out of the way, you can see that there. And it's also got a drop shadow. So just keep in mind that this is a good one to experiment with when you finish the action. Move it around, duplicate it, because you can get some really cool results just from this one, moving this one layer around. And check the drop shadow on and off. You can also double click on the drop shadow. You can increase the opacity of it and the size. Okay. Alright, so let's put this back inside here. And that's really all there is to it. Now if you want to say remove, erase some, say I don't want all these pieces on his chest, so if I select the Flux folder, there's a layer mask here, so just hit B on the keyboard, grab yourself a black brush, probably better to use a soft one, and what you can do, you can just start brushing away those pieces. But what you can see is that you can see the different coloration from where I've brushed on his chest. So to avoid that, it's because we've got our adjustment layers in the main folder. So if you just drag these outside of the folder, you'll retain the colours that the adjustment layers have given us. Okay. So another thing to keep in mind is that if I brush out, say all this section down here, You can see all these faint details that are still there. That's from the add sharpening layer. So you're probably best to, if you're making a lot of adjustments after the action's finished, just to turn this one off. Alright? And what we'll do now is just flatten the image, or another way to sharpen your photo is if I hold down Control, Shift, Alt and E, it'll merge our entire design into a single layer. Okay, so what you can do now is go to Filter, Other, High Pass, and select a reasonably low radius, and then put that onto Vivid Light. So that'll then sharpen up our image. So another quick tip when using this action, if you want the effect to shoot out in multiple directions, say if I wanted to go down then up, what I would do is firstly get the down direction looking good, and I would then flatten our image like that. So now we've just got just the one layer. And then what you can do is then just run through the process again of brushing on where you want to break apart your photo, just like that, and then I'll go into my action and I will then select up. So a quick example of this is I ran the right hand side action on this guy, and then I flattened the image, and then I just brushed down the side here like that, and ran the left hand side action and got that. You can do that in all four directions if you want. So just experiment and have fun. And if you've got any questions, you have any issues with the action, just email me and I'll try to sort it out. Okay? Thanks.